Hello, everyone. Joe Zerilli from Chancellor Aviation, the Twin Cessna community's only exclusive buyer's agent and your one-stop for everything Twin Cessna. As some of you may remember, myself and Rob Scariano are some of the original founding members of the Twin Cessna 300 and 400 series Facebook group, which has experienced just exponential growth in the last few years and has really become a fantastic place to talk about and disseminate information on these airplanes. It's really a great place to be. If you're not on that Facebook group, highly suggest you join the group and get involved in some of the conversations we're having. One topic we've seen come up a little bit in the last few years is TIT, although over the last few months it seems like it's come up quite a bit more, and I thought it'd be worth taking a few minutes to make a video and discuss how TIT may be of value to you as a Twin Cessna pilot. And I'll cut right to the spoiler. The answer is it's of absolutely no value to you as a Twin Cessna pilot, and if you're flying the airplane on TIT, you should stop doing that yesterday. And we're going to talk about why. So, first of all, TIT is turbine inlet temperature, and to keep it real simple, it's simply a measurement of the temperature of the exhaust gas entering the turbocharger on the hot side. That's all it is. Now, it can be an incredibly useful piece of data, assuming two things. Number one, you have engines that reference TIT and have published data that references TIT. And number two, you've got an engine that actually has a TIT probe. And that's where a lot of the confusion with Twin Cessnas comes into play. So, with the over the last 15 years or so, as graphic engine monitors have become more popular, lots of these graphic engine monitors offer a TIT probe or a TIT readout. And the confusion comes in because people will opt for these TIT probes, or maybe the graphic engine monitor kit comes with a TIT probe. The problem is, on the Continental Series engines that are on these airplanes, there is no place to put it. So there's no actual place to mount a TIT probe on these engines. Even if your graphic engine monitor says you have TIT, you don't have TIT. That temperature reading is being taken from somewhere other than the turbine inlet on the front of the turbocharger. So where's it being taken from? Well, usually it's one of two places. Most commonly, where we've seen them in looking at God knows how many of these airplanes for clients, the TIT probe is normally placed in the hole that's left over from the single-point EGT probe from the original RAM or Alcor EGT gauge, which effectively makes the TIT indication on your graphic engine monitor a glorified single-point EGT gauge, which is why you'll see me so often reference on the group, if you're going to fly TIT, you might as well not get a graphic engine monitor, because 9 out of 10 times, when you get that graphic engine monitor and start flying TIT, you're flying the same information that you were flying on your single point EGT gauge. It's of no value to you, or it doesn't add any value beyond that single point EGT gauge. Second of all, it's a blended number, just like your original Alcor RAM EGT gauge was. So it's not a reference to a specific cylinder. It's a blended number. As some of you may know, based on where the mounting location is for that RAM or Alcor EGT gauge, it's typically a blend of one bank of 3 cylinders. And you have no idea what the other 3 cylinders are doing. You're just kind of going on the assumption that if these 3 cylinders are producing a blended temperature value of X, that the other 3 probably are too, assuming everything is happy and everything's healthy. And that's the way that single point EGT gauge works. That's exactly how TIT works. If you have a TIT probe installed on one of these airplanes, you're looking at a blended value, more than one cylinder. And if you're flying let's call it a 1600 degree, just to throw a random number out there, don't reference that at all, 1600 degree TIT, that 1600 degree number could be coming from one cylinder that's running really, really hot and one cylinder that's running really, really cool. The number could also be artificially inflated by one cylinder that's running abnormally hot. So it's really not a valuable number to you, and most importantly, it is not TIT. That should be the big takeaway here, is that when you're referencing TIT, if you're flying a 400 series Cessna or a 300 series Cessna, it isn't actually TIT. The graphic engine monitor may say it is, but I'm here to tell you that there is no place to mount a turbine inlet temperature probe on these airplanes. So if you've got TIT, forget about it. Your best friend, if you have a graphic engine monitor, you've got individualized EGT. You can see what the exhaust gas temperature is doing on every cylinder. That's where your temperature value should be. That's where your focus should be, and that's how you should fly the airplane. Ideally, you want a nice spread. I'll get into how that works on a different video at some point. But TIT, get rid of it, throw it out the window, stop thinking about it. It's of no value to you whatsoever. And that's only because of where it's being measured and the fact that it isn't really TIT. And for what it's worth, even if we had real TIT in this airplane, even if we could mount a TIT probe, there's no data for it. So RAM doesn't reference TIT in any of their power charts or in any of their literature, any of their manuals, and neither does Teledyne Continental Motors. So there's no published data out there that says, well, this is what your TIT should be, this is what your TIT limit is. That doesn't exist for these engines in any way. So TIT is not only not a real temperature indication on these airplanes, but it's really complete guesswork because you have no frame of reference as to what is and is not acceptable and what high and low ranges are. So as far as TIT is concerned, stop flying it. Don't think about it. Use your graphic engine monitor to its fullest. Use your individualized DGT. And if you're getting ready to buy a graphic engine monitor, don't waste your money spending an extra $300 or $400 for TIT probes because there's no place to put them and they're useless to you. So I hope that clears up a little bit of the confusion around TIT in these engines and whether or not it's beneficial for you. If you have any questions, by all means, come to the Twin Cessna 300-400 Series Facebook group. Ask away. We're always there to help. Again, Joe Zerli from Chancellor Aviation. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.